reading my seminary paper on the separation of church and state and women's rights in American history. This was a conference finalist last spring. This is part 5. Make sure you like, follow, comment, engage so that you get the rest of part 5. The West was sparsely populated, and decisions about property, education, and employment needed to be made in light of widows or abused wives and children. Could they divorce their alcoholic husband and keep custody of their children in the names of safety from the abusive husband? Could women own property if the husband died? Could they attend school and receive training to work and gain income to afford the property if their husband died? They would have to. The small tax base out here couldn't afford to make women wards of the state, nor could they spare the labor and necessary training for that labor for their communities to grow. All of these questions would be answered if women had the right to vote, for owning property and businesses meant that they would owe taxes. And let us remember that America was founded partly on the argument of taxation and representation. The influx of Jewish immigrants brought the Jewish perspective of marriage to the conversation. Henrietta Sizold, a Jewish speaker at the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, argued that the Jewish approach to marriage and divorce was one of a social contract with underlying sacred spirituality, as opposed to Catholic or Protestant views that marriage was a sacred contract with underlying social agreements. The mix of religious perspectives on marriage would disrupt in society's interpretation of the legality of marriage, particularly as the hierarchy of the home could be harmful for the women trapped inside of it. Chippewa Marie Louise Bottineau Baldwin from North Dakota, lawyer and first female in the Bureau of Indian Affairs, argued her native beliefs and customs motivated her political suffrage notions, saying, quote, "Did you ever know that the Indian women were among the first suffragists and that they exercised the right of recall? The trouble in this Indian question, which I meet again and again, is that it is not the Indian who needs to be educated so constantly up to the white man, but that the white man needs to be educated to the Indian," end quote. With women's participation in the home, schools, medicine, law, church, and business, it was the next natural step to enable women to vote. The sparse pioneer country and the settlers discussed with oppressive legalism allowed greater experimentation with democratic ideals. This experimentation enabled the West to be much more open and tolerant of women's advancement.